All right, Charles Barkley, Draymond Green, they're locked in a war of words. Stephen A., do you blame Sir Charles for feeling this way about Draymond?
No, but I need to explain what I mean by that.
Okay.
I like Draymond a lot. He's one of my favorite players, one of my favorite people in the NBA, and he certainly has every right to respond the way that he did, because if somebody's talking about punching you in the face, hell with it, let's get it on. When you see me, do what you got to do, and let's do what we have to do. It really comes down to that, because now you're challenging the cat's manhood, and that simply can't go just ignored, rather. But I think that people have to recognize what specifically Charles Barkley is trying to say. Charles Barkley, who's older, years removed from the league, a bit rotund, to say the least, clearly not the athlete that he used to be. We understand that. Charles Barkley is not talking about Charles Barkley behind the desk right now, over 50 years of age. Charles Barkley is talking about himself and players from his generation and players from a generation who preceded him, the Maurice Lucases of the world, to the Charles Oakleys of the world, the Xavier McDaniels of the world, and a few other rough riders that when they had a bad boy image, they were considered a lot tougher than Charles evidently considers Draymond Green. They're talking about if that guy was in our era, he wouldn't be considered what he is to today's generation. That's what he's explaining. The problem with it is that obviously you're Charles being Charles and you express yourself the way that you express yourself. Cats are not going to take that. You talk about punching somebody in the face. We can deduce what he meant by it, like I just explained. But if I'm Draymond Green, I take it exactly the way that Draymond Green took it. And if that's the case, then I'm waiting to see you, because I want to see if you're going to lay your hands on me, because I'm going to be ready to lay my hands on you. It's just that simple. I don't blame Draymond Green for taking it the way that he took it. I don't blame him for handling it the way that he handled it. But I don't want people to think that Charles is talking about what he would do if he saw Draymond Green right now. He's talking about what he would have done if he were playing in that generation with Draymond Green, considering the generation that he comes from and what rough guys really were like.
I don't think Charles Barkley meant it literally. I mean, Draymond Green has the kind of game that gets under people's skin. He's an irritant, and he makes people want to punch him in the face. By the way, a couple of guys on this show, Stephen A., like there are characters in public life, public characters and personas that get under people's skin. Oh, I'd like to punch that guy in the face. I don't think Barkley meant it literally, although I don't think he should have said it publicly either, even if he was trying to get a point across, because you don't want to make anyone think you think it's okay for someone to assault someone else. But I don't think he meant it literally. If he was talking about what you were saying, Stephen A., that, hey, in my day, you couldn't get away with those antics, Draymond, two thoughts. One, Draymond's not playing in Charles Barkley's day, right? I mean, gather around, young children. Let Uncle Max tell you about natural selection and evolution. All it means, like, natural selection, guys, just means that those who thrive in a given environment have the kind of qualities that allow them to survive and thrive in that environment. If Draymond couldn't have gotten away with his antics back in the day, then he either wouldn't have done them, or he would have suffered consequences, or he wouldn't have been the same player. But he's not playing back in the day. He's playing today, where he's doing just fine. He's a champion player and one of the best players in basketball after having been a second-round draft pick. Furthermore, I don't think Draymond's antics are necessary for his game. For example, I was really bothered by what he did to Anthony Davis last night, rolling around on the ground with him, brought him to the ground, fouled him 5 times, rolled around with him, wouldn't let him go, pulled out every trick in the book, and then they both got called for fouls, which was ridiculous. Right here, look at this. He trips him on purpose. He's holding on to him. He won't let him up. He gives him another little shot on the way, and that's double? A double situation? Why is that? Draymond just fouled him. But if Draymond didn't do that just then, he'd be at least as effective as a player, period. So, like, when Barkley talks about if Barkley's hearkening back to his day, Draymond would have been a great player in any era. He has that kind of game. Now, maybe Barkley believes he couldn't get away with those antics, but another thing about Draymond that it seems to me, Stephen A., is he's plenty tough enough. In other words, I think I disagree with Barkley if the point is he couldn't have been Draymond Green in any other era. I think Draymond could have been Draymond in any era.